We have come full circle as we've taken the basil out of the field into a product that we can use in the kitchen. And joining me today is Darren Scott with FAPSI, who's going to tell us about the finishing steps of getting our basil into a product. So we've got to put some labeling on it.
Correct.
We're going to talk about the nutritional labeling first.
Sure. You know, the nutritional label kind of represents sort of a snapshot in time of the nutritional content of the product that's in the package. You know, sometimes people might get confused and think that it's some sort of certificate of analysis. So really, it is meant to represent sort of a range of values for that particular product. There are different formats based off of the size of the container. There are different formats based off of the actual nutritional content of the product.
Okay.
So just to kind of keep it simple today, we kind of are focusing on, we have the two different formats. What's known as the full vertical format is actually the preferred format of the FDA. Based on the size of the package. And there are two types that you typically see in the grocery store. One is the single column and the other is the dual column. Single column is going to be typically for those products that have multiple ingredients in them that are nutritionally significant. Okay. For the basil, since it's a single ingredient product and is not nutritionally significant, it actually doesn't require a nutritional label.
Okay, so there's not much nutritional difference in the basil that we're adding in it. So
that's correct.
But now, if it was a single ingredient, say like sugar.
Exactly right. You know, yes, something like sugar has lots of calories in there. So for a product like that would definitely require a nutritional label.
Okay. So it's not just about the number of ingredients, but it's that nutritional significance, right?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Okay, well, sometimes I see things that have like two columns, like a prepared and an unprepared. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, you know, and that's going to be the dual column format. And sometimes the dual column format for prepared versus unprepared, or prepared versus prepackaged is actually not mandatory, but it is if the manufacturer wants to provide you with a little bit of more information, nutritional information about the product inside the package. So you would have the product in per packaged would be the first column or the middle column, depending upon how you look at it. And the second column immediately to the right would be as prepared. And so, for example, a bowl of cereal, all right, you might have as packaged for just the plain cereal that's in the box, and then as prepared would be the addition of milk. Or, you know, there are two different ways that you can actually put together a nutritional label. One, a person can do wet analysis or chemistry to extract out all of the nutrients and measure them. Or what's more common is to use nutritional labeling software, which is a nutritional database that has basically the information from all of that chemistry has been entered into this software so that I can, say, for example, put in 10 pounds of sugar and it will spit out how many calories are in that 10 pounds of sugar. Okay. So that's going to be a lot more efficient, a lot faster, certainly much more convenient than trying to do a full chemical analysis every time that you need a nutritional label. Not that the nutritional analysis or the chemical analysis is bad or anything like that. It's just a little bit more expensive and a little bit more involved.
Okay. So obviously it can be very involved depending on which label you're going to use, and that can affect your packaging, correct?
Oh, that's exactly right. And, you know, that's why my colleague, Andrea Graves, is available to help with answering questions, designing different types of packaging for our clients at FAPC.
Okay, well, we'll chat with her as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Andrea, thank you for joining us. I know packaging can be quite complicated. Tell us a little bit about what's involved here.
Oh my gosh, there's so much more. I never thought about this until I got in the food business, but there's so much that you need to think about. Talking about the basil product that you have, there's function, there's cost, there's the look of it, there's all these different factors you have to think of, the food safety about it. Like your basil, you have different spices that you have. Well, what kind of budget do you have? You can put it in something simple like a plain plastic bag, but at the same time, how's it going to go on the shelf? Do you want some presents? I think I would get irritated a little bit if it didn't have a shaker in it, because that's what we kind of expect on spices.
So one might be more for farmer's market versus one might be what you would buy at a store and expect to see on a shelf present.
It could be, or also, how is it fillable?
Okay.
You know, it might be easier to fill this versus something like in this very small bottle, the time it takes to do that.
The manufacturing process.
So there's so many things that you have to think about. Same with what type of packaging is it? We think of plastics and things. There's so many different layers that can help with shelf life, that can help with the texture, what the actual product looks like.
The actual matte of it versus glossy.
Yeah,
and that sort of
definitely thing. The size, you know, you have to figure out the price point. It's fun. It's awesome.
This is one of the favorite things for your clients to go through is the packaging, right?
Well, I don't know if they like it. I enjoy it. But it's kind of a puzzle. You have to be a little different on the shelf. Again, all these things you have to think about. Colors.
So this sort of represents you and your brand when you're putting it out there, right?
Absolutely. Branding, we haven't even talked about that. We tell our clients that you've got to have some kind of logo, like Della Terra does a nice job.
So what all has to go on a package? Of course, we talked about the nutritional label, but there's more than that as well. Can you tell us about some of those things?
There's about 4 to 5 basic things that have to be on the package that are mandatory.
Okay.
The first one is the statement of identity, so that we understand what is actually in the package. Like we have here, you know, it's pasta. Yours is real easy. Basil is the statement of identity. And this very front panel is called the primary display panel. That is what goes, that we see on the shelf when we're shopping. That has to be on the primary display panel, as well as the net quantity contents, so that we understand how much we're buying minus the packaging. So when you have a weight or whatnot, it's whatever's in that product minus the packaging.
Okay, so you always need to what it is and how much you're getting of it.
Yes.
And then the nutritional label, if appropriate. Right?
Well, then when you take a package, and I am going to pick something up, even though some of these directly to the right of the display panel is called the information panel typically. And on the information panel, actually, let's go to the Basil one. That's a good example because we talked about yours. This is called the information panel. You need the ingredient statement comes first, and then the manufacturer statement, so that you can, if you need to contact that particular manufacturer, you can find them. Okay.
So that's always on every product is where it was
manufactured. Yes, that should be.
Okay.
Now the nutrition fact panel, actually it's the rule of NIM, N-I-M. The nutrition fact panel goes first, but if it doesn't fit on the panel, then it goes on any other panel. Oh, okay. But those are the five things that need to be on the label typically.
Okay. And of course we don't need that because there's no nutritional variable really with basil, right?
And also sometimes you won't see it on small producers because there's also an exemption.
Oh, okay.
If you have $50,000 or less in sales of that product, you don't have to have it.
Okay. Well, the packaging and the labeling is always exciting because it's kind of seeing your product come to fruition.
Yes.
Here, and you've got it ready to go to the customer at that point. And of course, a lot of it is personalization.
Yes.
For the person and who the manufacturer is in creating that. So it's kind of an exciting time for your clients.
It is, and it's so important because if it's not eye-catching and pretty and beautiful, people won't pick it up. So don't underestimate the packaging. Right.
But of course, you got to keep that budget in mind.
True. Absolutely.
And I know you guys are here to walk people through all of these decisions, right?
Yes.
And again, this has kind of been fun to see this process over our season. But for more information, people can always check out your website as they might want to follow this process.
Absolutely. Call us. Also. We're here to help.
Well, thank you so much, Andrea.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this video as part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on the OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.